ambassador actually do? Today we are joining Ambassador Ina Lepel for a few hours so we can ask her some of your questions. Let's go. Hi, good morning. I'm here for the ambassador.
Good morning. This way.
Thank you. Hello, good morning, Ambassador.
Hello, good morning.
Thanks for letting me join you today.
Sure, pleasure.
Yes.
Would you like to come in?
That would be great. Thank you so much. Wow. You have a really nice room.
Thank you. My predecessor bought some local furniture to make it look a bit more comfortable.
It does look very local with the wayang and the furniture, so
Yeah.
it's great. So, Ambassador, we're now on the way to your first schedule of the day.
That's right.
Can you first please introduce yourself?
My name is Ina Lepel. I'm the German Ambassador to Indonesia, ASEAN and Timor-Leste.
How long have you been in Indonesia?
I arrived here in September 2021.
Can you tell us what does an ambassador do, actually?
It very much depends on the situation, but the job description really is to do everything for the relations of the two countries and representing one's own country's interests in that.
So, what do you think is the most important part of your job?
To understand how Indonesia works, what Indonesia wants, the mentality, the mindset of the people, so that I can explain it to people in Germany who want to work with Indonesia, and at the same time explain Germany to Indonesia.
Well, you're bridging the gap between the two countries.
Yes, that's pretty much puts it in a nutshell. Yeah.
What does a day in your life look like?
I think today is quite representative. I'm going for public function in the private sector. Some German company is opening their new headquarters, which shows that interest in Indonesia is growing from the German side. Then later in the day I will meet a member of parliament, so that's for the sector of political affairs. I will have an internal meeting later in the day about some organizational issues in the working of the embassy. And in the evening I'm hosting an iftar dinner for some Indonesian journalists.
Wow, that is a full packed schedule.
That is pretty full today.
So, does your working hours look like that every day?
It really depends, you know. Sometimes I make appointments with high-ranking Indonesian representatives and they are shifted at short notice, and then suddenly I have more time or less time. So it's a bit difficult to predict, but I think this is pretty representative. And the working hours sometimes continue for longer than that, because we have this big time differential between Jakarta and Berlin. So sometimes Berlin suddenly has questions in the Berlin afternoon when it's already evening here, and then I sit at my laptop and try to answer them.
Oh wow. How often do you travel for work within Indonesia?
Within Indonesia, I try to travel about once a month. Because Indonesia is not just Jakarta, it's a huge, far-flung country. So I'm really trying to see as much of it as I can.
How long do you stay in one country normally?
It can be anything in our system from 2 years to 4 years.
Do you get to choose which country you want to be posted in?
In a limited extent, because we can only choose from the countries where a posting becomes available. There is also sometimes the problem that more than one person wants one posting. Then human resources makes the choice. But we can explain our preferences, and human resources is trying to accommodate that to the extent possible.
You kind of chose Indonesia then for your...
Yes, absolutely.
post. Why did you choose Indonesia?
Because I have been interested in Indonesia from early on. When I studied economics in Bonn, they offered a course for general audience on Bahasa Indonesia. And so I went for that because I was interested in Asia, and Bahasa Indonesia, from all I had heard, seemed very easy and not too much additional burden on my schedule. So I went for that, and I really enjoyed that because we had a brilliant teacher who also taught us Indonesian cooking.
Wow.
So that was good fun and a great cultural introduction to the country. And ever since, I have been curious about Indonesia. I traveled to Indonesia as a tourist before, and I had also been here on missions before.
Do you speak Indonesian?
Yeah, I'm still studying. I have a teacher. I meet him online once a week. Embassy team is also supporting me in my endeavors.
Can you say some words in Indonesian?
Selamat pagi, saya senang sekali sudah di Indonesia.
Wow, that's you speak almost without an accent actually. That's
Wow,
really
thank you.
really well understandable. Do you have a favorite Indonesian word or phrase?
I like the word semangat.
Semangat. I like it too. I don't think there's an English word for it.
Exactly.
Really. Or a German
it's a
word.
very specific but very speaking nice word. I like that.
Which other languages do you speak then?
Well, I've tried to learn the language in all the countries where I've been. So I've studied some Thai in Thailand, some Georgian in Georgia, some Urdu in Pakistan, and also some Japanese in Japan.
Whoa. Going back to your job, but more to your personal side of the job. What does being an ambassador mean to you?
Although this is already the third time I'm an ambassador, I still feel humbled and honored to have the honor to represent my country here. So I'm trying to do my very best to really understand what's going on, to really explain things well, and be very conscientious in what I'm doing.
What is your favorite part of being ambassador?
Well, that one can set one's own priorities to a certain extent. Of course, one gets instructions, one has to follow these, but I feel very happy that here I can work very much on the green agenda, because I personally find that this is very important and that we all have to work together for the planet.
And what is the hardest part of being an ambassador?
The hardest part maybe is to stay polite all the time.
Stay polite all the time.
Even if sometimes I very strongly don't agree with something people say, and that can be both people from the host country or from my own capital.
You're the first female German ambassador for all the 3 countries you've been ambassadors in. So Pakistan, Japan, and now Indonesia. Can you share your thoughts on that?
Well, it always feels a bit strange looking at the pictures of the predecessors and say, hey, wow, I'm the first woman. But I think mainly it's very positive, because for many countries it's still a bit unusual. Within the diplomatic corps there are fewer women than men. So it gives one an additional factor of unusualness, of standing out. So it's maybe easier to make an impression than if one were just one more guy. So on the whole, my experience is very positive. I have never felt discriminated against or not treated professionally in any way.
As a woman myself, I feel very empowered that you are a woman as well, and that's really,
thank you.
really good being a catalyst in this field. What made you realize you want to work with foreign affairs, since you have a very long career in foreign affairs?
Yes, I think I wanted that from early on, from the time I studied, because I was always interested in foreign countries. Even when I was a kid, we had some programs on TV about foreign countries, what people were doing, what differences in lifestyle they had, and I always found that, wow, I want to go there, I want to meet all these people. And somehow that stayed with me. And I applied for the Foreign Service and it worked. So I've been with the Foreign Service ever since.
What did you study to get into this field?
In our Foreign Service, it doesn't really matter what you study as long as you complete whatever it is. I studied economics.
In your first foreign post, what is your most memorable moment?
Well, my very first posting was in Thailand. From 1990 to 1992.
Wow.
And I had many memorable experiences. We also had very nice events, like we had a big German orchestra coming.
Wow.
And since I was doing cultural affairs at the time, I had to organize the whole thing. That was a lot of work. We had one of the princesses attending, and everybody got so excited to have the princess in the concert hall. And of course, fantastic music from Munich Philharmonic Orchestra. So that was a very striking experience.
Wow. What do you miss the most about Germany when you're away?
What do I miss the most? Maybe the family.
How do you maintain your work-life balance? It seems like you have a lot on your plate.
Yes, that's actually difficult. I'm trying to discipline myself. I try to go to the gym regularly to follow my hobbies. Conveniently, learning languages is one of my hobbies that also matches well with my professional life.
Are there any German cultural influences in Indonesia?
Well, I think so, yes, because during the time of President Habibie, or even before he became president, studying in Germany was very much a mainstream thing because universities in Germany were quite accessible financially, and also they had a good reputation. So for a long time, many Indonesians went to study in Germany, and at the time, in the 70s and 80s especially, people still had to learn German in order to be able to participate in the classes. Nowadays, people can also take many programs in English. So the people who took part in these programs really speak very good German. So I think that's a big cultural trace that Germany has left in many people.
Is there something similar actually about Germany and Indonesia?
Both countries are big countries, maybe considered as leading countries in their respective regions, like Indonesia in ASEAN, Germany in the EU. We both realize that, okay, we're sort of big, but we're not that big, so we have to always make sure we have friends around us. We work for integration or better cooperation in our respective regions. We also attach both a lot of importance to multilateralism.
Wow, that's interesting to hear. And I think you're someone who knows that the most, since you're the bridge between the two countries anyway. So we're gonna end with lighter questions. There's one from Instagram actually, and they wrote it in German. Was gefällt Ihnen an Indonesien oder Jakarta am besten?
About Indonesia, I like the people who are friendly, humble, and also very, very smart. But they don't like to show off. And I find that very sympathetic in people.
What is your favorite Indonesian food?
I love bakso.
You love bakso. And do you like spicy food?
Not so much.
Not so much. Closing remarks for the people watching?
Well, I wish them all the best. I thank them for following. I hope to interact more with our Instagram followers.
Oh, thank you very much. And now we are heading off still to your next schedule.
Selamat pagi semua sekalian. Ladies and gentlemen, dear esteemed guests and members of the Polish community.
Did you get a Polaroid?
Yes!
Oh, can you show it?
It's still not quite finished.
Okay, thank you for the day. You're going to your next appointment.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Good to travel with you.
Thank you too. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. See you soon. Semangat.
Thank you. Bye bye.